So, this is going to be more of a talking video than a review. I'm not really doing any, well, it's not a review. I don't have anything to review. Ow, son of a beach. Sorry, squirrel. So I don't really know what the title of this video is going to be, but for me, it's going to be, I guess this will be the title. This video is going to be on something that I like to call beard boredom. So this video is going to be for your bearded guys out there. So, what do I mean by beard boredom? Well, I know this probably doesn't apply to everybody. Everybody's different. But for me at least, I don't know if it's because I got autism and ADHD and all that kind of stuff, so I get bored easily. But also my mind kind of is all over the place. And so this used to really apply to my head hair back when I actually cut it myself. But thankfully I haven't had that issue since. Now it's kind of with my beard. But what typically for me will happen is, not always, but if I see somebody else have a beard that I like, I'll think, oh, I would like to have that beard. And then I'll want to trim my beard to look like that beard. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe my beard's been, sorry, I'm looking at a spider going up a web. Or maybe I'll have issues with my beard for days. Maybe it's not acting right. And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Shave the whole thing off. You know, I'm sure people have the same problem. But some wise words that somebody told me years ago, and if I remembered who it was, I'd tell you, because I'd like to give them credit. But somebody told me that if you ever go through something like that, and you're in that headspace where you're like, I'm just gonna shave it, or I'm just gonna drastically change how my beard looks. Like maybe you've got a beard that comes all the way down to here, and you're thinking of going way up here, or maybe you're wanting to completely change the style, like something that I wanted to do, a couple weeks ago. Actually, this has happened to me twice recently, and I'm glad that I followed my advice. So about a month ago, I really wanted to just take this all down. I've been trying to grow it out just to see what it can do. But probably about a year or two ago, I would always trim this on about a 5 or a 6. And then I would just trim this kind of closer. And it would just be more of a shorter, tighter beard. And I just got tired of messing with it because this up here kept wanting to go out. And it was just bugging me. And it's pissed me off. And then like a week ago, I saw somebody else's beard and I was like, I really like how that looks. And the reason that I liked it was because it was kind of a mixture. Sorry, allergies. It was kind of a mixture of two looks that I've done before, but I've never mixed them. And like seeing them have that beard was like, I should try that. And what it was a long goatee with more of a beard on the sides. And years ago, I only had a long goatee, and I shaved the sides on like a 1 or a 2, and that was my look for years. And I stopped doing it because I would see myself in pictures, and I just didn't like how where my hair starts here for my goatee, and my hair ends here where it's a 1 or a 2. I didn't like how it met because my hair is very frizzy and bushy. And so instead of having like a nice line right here, like most people do, it would like bush out and it would just look stupid. And I hated how that looked. So I stopped and started actually just growing a beard. But I saw this person, and what they did was the exact same thing. They had the long goatee, but instead of doing like a 1 or 2 on the side, they did like a 4 or 5, which is what I had started doing when I started growing a beard. And when I say 4 or 5, I don't mean with a guard going up where you trim everything. I meant with a guard going down. But instead of like the whole, going out like you would do now with a longer beard, I actually took it straight all the way down and all the way under. So it knocked all the hairs down. It was a lot tighter. Um, but seeing that made me be like, oh, that makes sense because it'll be darker here. So this line here that was bugging me before wouldn't bug me. And like for 2 or 3 days, I was really like, God, I want to do that. Like I like how that looks. In my head, I'm thinking like that will be cool. And the point of the video, um, what this person that I can't remember said to me sticks in my mind, and it helps me when I get to that point. And what this person said to me was, if you ever want to cut your beard or drastically change your beard, for every day that you've grown your beard, or no, for every month that you've been growing your beard, take a day to think about it. And I did that like a month or so ago when I was thinking about just cutting my whole beard down to a shorter beard. And it helped because, I'm very bad with my OCD, ADHD, and all that stuff to just be like, oh, I like that, and then do it. And then you're sitting in there in the mirror like, why did I do that? I hate it. I miss my beard. And I took a couple days because it might not look like a lot of beard, but that's because I maintain my beard. I'm not one of those people that do like a small trim here and there and then let it grow for 2 or 3 months and then a small trim here. No, I'm one of those people that like keep it tamed the entire time, and I guess it's just started slowing down. But like, again, I used to keep this short. This is relatively long now. It just doesn't look like it's much. Um, and then this up here, I would have done let it do its thing, but I keep trimming it back up because I just started a couple months ago letting the neck hair grow out. And I want to kind of give it a chance to be all the same length instead of having this right here down here, whereas my neck hair's, way up here. But yeah. Um, but I've got about a year's worth of growth in here. Believe it or not, it's just I keep trimming it to keep it tamed. But the point is, I'm so easily able to be sidetracked and be like, I want to do this, and then regret it later. And the same thing with like the newer beard look that I liked. That was 2 looks that I used to do combined. I was thinking, well, this isn't that long right now. I could go ahead and do like maybe a 3 or a 4 on the sides going up to just go ahead and get the goatee lined out. And then I'll go ahead and trim my neck hairs that I've been growing out. And then that way in like 6 months, this right here will be long enough and that will grow back in and it'll look right. And I was like really hyper focused on doing that and getting that done. And then that quote or whatever you want to call it kind of hit me again. And I was like, okay. Not to mention, there's also a lot recently that kind of went into it. I mean, yeah, a lot of it was the whole, think about it for a day per month you've been growing your beard. But not only just that, other things started hitting me too, in the process of like thinking it through. Because I had just started really getting into trying oils forever. I kind of just been using the same stuff. And what I mean is, like, with me doing reviews, um, I try a lot of products because people send me stuff and I review it if it's good, and you'll never see it if it sucks. Well, with doing that, I never actually have like a physical, straightforward routine because I'm always using everything. Um, and with me finally settling on a brand because I like this brand so much that I don't really want to use other brands. Something else somebody else told me kind of kicked in, and they told me that not to ever stick with one oil. Hang on, sorry, allergies. Someone told me not to stick with one oil blend because your skin can actually get used to that. And so if you've ever used like the same brand for over and over and over, and it's the same oil blend, and you notice like your beard might be soft or whatever, but your growth is kind of lacking. Change it up. Use a different company, use a different oil blend. And I started noticing that for myself. Because I've pretty steadily been using Bear Lawson's strictly for several months. And I started noticing like a huge difference in my beard. Like my beard hair and everything else is perfect. The softness, all that good stuff. But I've noticed a huge difference in growth. Like when I first started using his products, it was like, you know, uh, what is it called? Miracle Grow. Like it was just, it was crazy. Like I was having to trim my mustache like once a week because it was just going so crazy. And yeah, and I know your beard slows down in the winter and all that, but like I just noticed a huge difference. And then I remember, like I said, somebody saying to switch up your blends because your skin and body and all that can get used to it, and it just doesn't do anything. So I started trying some of the other oils that I have from other companies that I actually do like, and I just don't promote them because they don't need the help. And I started throwing them in my routine. You know, like maybe I'll use Bear Lawson's 2 or 3 days a week, and then the rest of the week, you know, mix it up, or I'll use one or the other every other day, whatever. Um, and I noticed that fixed it. And so I've kind of steadily been doing that. And with doing that whole thing, it's kind of got me wanting to focus on actually growing my beard out. And so, with all that, that was one of the thoughts that kind of went through my head because it's like, well, if I drastically trim the sides, I'm not going to have as much beard to try. You know what I mean? Like if I get a new washer or a new oil or a new anything in, all I'm really going to have is my goatee. And I had the goatee for years and I use products. But now, like when you have a full beard versus like a goatee, it's like a night and day difference when you're trying products. Like you get a more sense of the product when you have a beard versus just a goatee. Like I could probably use stuff for your head hair on my goatee, and it would be fine. Whereas like a full beard, and you're like, nah, you know what I mean? So yeah, all these thoughts were going through my head, and that was all part of like the whole think it through before you make the decision thing. Because when you're doing it, you're supposed to be thinking of like reason, kind of like weighing the pros and cons for these days before you make this big decision. And that's kind of where I'm at. So I don't kind of, but basically what I'm saying is if you ever get to a point in your beer journey and you're kind of just bored and you ever randomly or out of the blue deciding to drastically change your beard, as I said, think on it at least a day for every month that you've been growing it, because yeah, you hear these people all the time say it'll grow back, but that really only truthfully applies to people with shorter beards, because I mean, yes, it'll grow back, obviously, but what I'm saying is, like, say you got a beard down to here and you shave it completely off. Yeah, it'll grow back, but the amount of heartache and pain that you're going to feel from regretting that, like, yeah, it'll grow back, but that's going to hurt far worse than somebody that's got like a stubble beard. You know what I mean? Like, even a beard my size, like, it took me a while to get here. If I shaved this completely off, I would be so pissed. And it's like, yeah, it'll grow back. But that's a year or more of my life that I can't get back because of some stupid thought that I had. You know, if you've got like maybe an inch or a half an inch of growth completely and that's it, okay, it'll grow back. What do you freaking do? But for somebody with a substantial beard, that's a huge decision. That's like getting a tattoo or get a body modification or a piercing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's life changing almost. And I'm not sitting here telling you not to do whatever it is that you're wanting to do. I'm just simply saying, weigh the pros and cons, take your time, actually think it through for days, and not just sit there and be like, no, I really, really like this. I really, really want to do this, and then do it. Because I'll be perfectly honest, more times than not, I have regretted it. Even something as simple as, you know, taking an inch off my beard. Because sometimes you don't even know how your beard is going to react. Like, my beard was like down to here about a week or so ago. And I had this thought to trim it straight across because of the undergrowth. I want it to be closer to the length of this. So I did it. And my beard instantly went from laying down and doing what it's supposed to starting to stick out on the sides again, like it was when I was first training my beard. And I didn't know it was going to happen. I didn't realize that was going to happen, and I completely regretted it. And from now on, I'm not going to do that anymore. And yeah, this whole beard thing is a learning curve, and you know it takes time. Everybody's hair is different, but still, think before you do, because it sucks. And before anybody complains about my nails, I'm about to make a video talking about my nails, so you can save the time and energy to comment and be like, "Oh my God, your nails are painted on that." I'm about to make you a video, so if my nails bother you, go over to the video that's going to be titled "Why I Paint My Nails," because apparently I have to make a video about that. Yep. Next video.